Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. I've been lining this one up for a while, and I'm very, very, very excited that it's actually happening. So we have a multiple award-winning actor, singer, writer, and comedian. She's one of Australia's best talents in the musical comedy world, widely known for her collaborations with the absurdist comedy sketch group Aunty Donna and one half of the comedy duo Double Denim with Laura Frew. She's most recently been seen in sketch show We Interrupt This Broadcast, heard as a vocal talent on Koala Man, which I loved, and on the ABC show Aunty Donna's Coffee Cafe. In the comedy world, she's written and performed Reform and Legacy and toured her award-winning show Average Bear across Australia and internationally, and is now streaming on Paramount Plus. It's Michelle Brasier! Welcome!
Hello. Oh, God, I'm so tired just listening to all that stuff.
You've done a lot. You've done a lot.
Yeah. I need to chill out.
No, go for it, I say. How are you? How's your day? You've just recently been in a meeting we were saying before, and you've been doing, all your stuff. You just finished your comedy, like the comedy leg, hey, for the year.
Yeah, I've just finished the big chunk of touring. And now I'm in the little gooch in between the big chunk of Australia and then when we go to Edinburgh. So I'm just now I'm doing all the other writing that I have to do and all the other things, which is good. But yeah, I've just been in the bath today watching Buffy. It's chilly. There's a chill in the air today.
It's getting into that time, isn't it? Where you just like, now's the time to rug up. I got my heater on and I'm going to have to turn it off because it's like sweating at the moment.
Oh, really? I'm so jealous. I've got the heater on. I've got 2 jumpers on. I'm freezing.
One of those Melbourne chills, isn't it?
Yeah, it gets into your bones. It's not even that cold, but there's something about it. It's like, because we have so many sunny days in winter, and a sunny day is like beautiful, gorgeous in the day, and then as soon as the sun goes down, anyway, this isn't interesting.
It's fine. For anyone who doesn't know anything about Melbourne, this is great. Did you survive the earthquake at least? Nothing like...
I missed it. I was doing a show in New South Wales, so I missed it.
There you go.
I missed the last one too. It's tough, but I've had a coffee, so I've had a bit of like Melbourne culture.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you so much. I know we've met a few times after your shows because I've only in the past year just become obsessed with you, to be completely honest. I saw Reform at the Melbourne Comedy Festival last year because my brother was like, you have to go see Michelle Brasier when you're in Melbourne. And I was like, oh, okay, I feel like I know that name. And then obviously I recognized you from working with Aunty Donna, and I took the chance. I went to see your show and I was just like, who is this woman? And I need to know every single thing about her right now.
I appreciate that.
It was great. Reform was such a good show. And then we saw Average Bear. My brother and I came to see Average Bear, and then I saw Legacy this year. So I've done the trio, which I'm very happy about.
Trilogy. Thank you so much. The Bad Things Happen to Me trilogy.
Yeah.
I like to call them.
Yeah. Well, I guess like the one thing I did want to ask you is where did let's go like right back, I suppose. Like where did it all start for you as like a performer and someone who's so uber talented as you are?
Oh, listen, I started when I was just a wee thing, like not professionally in any way. I wasn't like a child star. I grew up in Wagga Wagga, but I was singing before I was talking. Like I was a nightmare. I think my babysitter showed me Grease, and then it was all over. It was just first album I had was The Phantom of the Opera. Like I was always going to be so annoying. And I never, even in school, I never studied. I have never studied at all because I was like, well, I'm going to acting school, so why would I? Like I just was so focused on it.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, I wish that I could say, oh, I saw this play and it changed my life, but it's like I feel like I just came out trying to do a jeté, but I just think so I pivoted.
And you have such like, I mean, I know I sound like I'm just a fangirling here, but you have such a powerful voice.
Thank you.
We saw you do the musical comedy show at the end of last year at Enmore, and you just came out with All I Want for Christmas Is You, and I was just like, why are you not on Broadway? Like seriously, that voice, you have such a powerful voice, and I'm always gobsmacked by it.
Thank you. You know, I wanted to do musicals, and I studied musical theatre at uni, and to be completely honest, I felt quite rejected by that particular industry in a way that wasn't really fair. Like I got enough rejections that you should get at your age when you first started out. But I was sitting in the room once when I was going into audition for Adam's Family, and I looked around the room and I could see next to me was like there was Sally Bourne and then a Robin Arthur, and I looked at those women and we were running hours late, and they came and got me. They collected me from the room because I guess my audition time was earlier than them. And then they spent ages in the room with me, which was lovely for me. But when I came out, I looked at them again and they didn't seem annoyed. Like, I just thought, how dare these people make Sally Bourne and Robin Arthur wait for me to fuck around in here? Like, how dare they make that? Like, how can this be the industry? Like, what happens when I'm them? When I want to be, you know, as established as these women, is that what I want to be doing, waiting around for graduates to finish singing their little songs? Or do I want to be someone who goes, she can do it, she can only do 5 shows a week, like, for 6 months? And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do 5 shows a week for 6 months. I want to be stunt cast. I was going for roles and then seeing people get stunt cast in them, and I was like, I can sing rings around you. Sure, I guess I'll just go figure out a way to get stunt cast. And that's kind of why I started doing comedy, because I was like, well, I'll get famous on my own. It's out of maybe spite or ambition. I mean, I love comedy. I've always loved comedy, but like if the right role came around, I would do music theatre. And, you know, my management in the UK is like, do you want to do West End stuff? I'm like, I don't know. The money's not that good. It's crazy that your dreams sort of shift and change, but I do. My heart's with music theatre. I love it.
It's one of those things that once you're in, you know, you're in, aren't you? Because, like, it's, I mean, I haven't done many musical theatre shows, and they've only ever been community ones, but I do miss, like, you know, performing and just that aspect of performing. And I think, like, it's one of those things it never goes away. It's, well,
it's that community thing. It's why people go to church. It's why people join cults. It's because, you know, you go through, you're in the trenches together, and then you get to express yourselves. And it's beautiful. It's a vulnerable place. It's a place that encourages singing and being vulnerable and playing as adults. Like, of course it's addictive. Of course it's wonderful. And people make fun of it because they are too scared to let themselves enjoy it, because they would love it.
Yeah.
My partner and I, Tim, we met doing a production of Legally Blonde.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. I played Elle and he played Warner, and he broke up with me every night. And you know what? Negging, it works.
It got him in the end. Because he obviously features in all your comedy shows as well, with like different side characters and playing alongside you.
Yeah, he does. It's really wonderful to have him. He's such a jack of all trades. Like, I've never met such a jack of all trades before in my life. He's good at computers. He's a great actor. He's a great musician. He's just a great I mean, obviously I'm saying this because he's my partner, but I just really admire him, and I like working with him a lot because we complement each other so much. I mean, I'm so desperate for the spotlight, and he is so just like accommodate. Like, he doesn't want that. He just wants to be furnishing whatever is going on. And that's such an incredible partnership to have for two people in the performing arts with, you know, egos. It could be an absolute nightmare. Yeah. But luckily, I've got enough for both of us.
Kind of balances out.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to talk about Average Bear because, like I said in the bio, it's on Paramount Plus. Everyone can go and watch it, and it's such a powerful production. I took a bunch of people to see it because I was like, Michelle's in Sydney, she's doing Average Bear. I've heard about it on Paramount Plus. Let's go see it. And they were like, oh, okay. Didn't really know what to expect. And they knew it was a musical comedy, but then when you go in, there's just so many layers to it. And it is a wholly powerful, beautiful show. And I guess, where did the idea for that come from?
I always knew I wanted to do it. I hate going to see a cabaret where somebody is clearly searching for trauma. Like, I really hate the idea of this, like, trauma as a badge of honor and, like, you've earned more because you've suffered more. I really don't like that mentality that I think is kind of seeping in a bit to society today, which I totally understand. And, you know, it's an overcorrection that needed to be corrected. But I hate going to see shows about, like, I just don't want to see another show about how it was hard for you growing up because you were a little bit different, but, like, not really that different, and it wasn't really that hard. Like, I'm sick of those shows. So I was always like, I love cabaret, but I don't want to write something until I have something to say. And I was doing, like, silly cabarets, like, you know, comedy cabarets with my friend Vince we were called Backwards Anorak. We wrote really fucked. Like, have you ever seen Hot Department?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
We were very, very much like Hot Department.
Ah, okay.
All of our songs, all of our shows, I think we did 4 shows, and every show we did ended in us making out and singing Only You by Yazoo. We did one show called The Higher the Hair, the Closer to God, and he played my dad, a preacher, and I played his daughter Chastity, and we still finished the show in the same way. But it was really very dark and yucky and fun and gorgeous. And then I just was doing comedy with, Aunty Donna and doing Double Denim. And I had this story, that had happened to me. I'd lost my brother and I'd lost my dad, and I had these things sort of sitting in the wings, and I'd written a few essays and done a few storytelling nights where I told the story, and it really resonated with people. And I liked the way it made people feel, because I didn't want, even at uni, I remember they wanted us to do like a 10-minute cabaret, and they wanted me to talk about it. They were like, it's going to be so interesting. It's going to be, beautiful and heartbreaking. And I was like, probably funny. So I just tried to write funny things for a long time, because I think somewhere I knew that I needed the skills to be funny, and also I needed to know how to hold an audience before I could just bring this onslaught of information. I mean, it's a pretty full-on story, and I wanted it to be about hope. And this is what, coming back to the thing I said about the going to see people's shows where they're just digging for trauma. I don't think, as an audience member, I'm not interested in seeing how upset you are. I'm interested in seeing who you are, regardless of what you've been through. And even like any actor that's playing any role, like I'm very known for people. I'm a nightmare at the theatre, but I'll sit there, and if somebody comes out and is singing something, they're just playing a different role, but they're doing something. If they've not lost anything in their life, I can fucking tell. And I'll just sit back and myself, like, never lost a thing in your goddamn life. So I don't know. I'm just not interested in watching people pretend to be sad if they've never been sad. And so, on the same token, I just didn't want it to feel like that. I really wanted it to feel like a show about hope. And I also think if you're going to make a show like this, you need to be over it. You need to be okay. You need to be moved through it. You need to be able to talk about it no matter what, in front of anyone at any time.
Yeah.
This can't be something that's going to trigger you, because your audience can't sit there worrying about you.
Yeah.
That's not their job. They paid. Otherwise, that's therapy that you're getting paid for. That's crazy. Your job is to look after them. So they need to know that you're okay. So it took a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And there's obviously there's so many things in there that just weave in and out. You chuck in so many amazing funny songs as well. Like the Fingering Shed song is one of my favorites. It's so funny. It's always a good one. Whenever that starts playing at anything you do, I kind of look at the people next to me. I'm like, ooh, you're in for a time.
It's funny when you write musical comedy, because usually you can't do your jokes all over and over again. But if I go to gigs and I don't play Fingering Shed, people get a bit upset. I'm like, I've been this 5 or 6 years, this song. But sure, I'll pull it out if you want.
Let's go. But then you followed that up with Reform, and Reform is such an insane story. And I'm sure you've told it time and time again in the show and on Triple J and everywhere else. But could you, for anyone who's not seen Reform, can you give us a brief, in a nutshell?
Yeah, of course. Reform is a show based on the true story, and it's sort of verbatim theatre. So a lot of the dialogue between me and the other person, who is Tim, is really what we said and based on messages and things. I got scammed by a man during the lockdown. I tried to buy a Pilates reformer online, and he scammed me, and instead of going to the police, I became his friend and his confidant and his emergency contact. And and it's just, I guess it's a lesson in radical empathy and curiosity, making you a happier person than vengeful things. I don't know. I guess it's definitely a cautionary tale, but I wouldn't say it's a cautionary tale that you'd expect if you hear it's a cautionary tale of a scammer. It's kind of go out there, go be scammed. It might be good for you.
You might make a friend. And then just how involved I think you two became was fascinating. Because like you said, you were his kind of online therapist for a little while, trying to talk him through breakups and all this other stuff.
Yeah, it was quite a madness.
Crazy. And then your most recent show, Legacy, which was about well, a whole bunch of things, really.
Yeah.
Your most I was watching your journey in part of the story, which was your trip to Canada.